If the people around you are idiots and you say no, you created a disharmonious situation. It makes dissonance. Is the fact that you created dissonance wrong? Is the dissonance in and of itself wrong? Or is the dissonance a feature sometimes that helps you understand your participation in this interaction, in this group, is not right? It depends. Even if you win, because the act of the conflict defeats you. That dissonance defeats you. That wisdom is very big. When someone you love asks you, do these jeans make me look fat? You lie. Sometimes we know we have our own integrity, we know what is right and wrong, yet we will enter into a dissonant possibility for the sake of the other person. In that case, you've got this person who is with this negative energy, and you've got all of this attempt to be positive, and there's always, in an intervention, you can be guaranteed it's going to be a lot of fighting, a lot of dissonance, a lot of anger, and you do it anyway. You do it anyway because you care. All of these laws in society are there because people do not regulate themselves. People are out of control in themselves and out of control when they interact. Now, that doesn't mean that sometimes two good people who regulate themselves very properly are always in control. Sometimes there are accidents. A good person is riding their motorbike, a good person is driving a car, and motorbike and car meet in a way which neither could understand. Accident happens, and all kinds of codes and regulations involving insurance, involving liability, enter into the picture. So being regulated is not just for people who don't know what they're doing or who do things wrong. It's also for good people who know what they're doing, who are aware, but who can't be aware of everything all the time. That's an interesting point. When I said self-regulation, I thought, interesting. So the simple cause and effect that we face all the time in life regulates us. When someone you love asks you, do these jeans make me look fat? You lie. Very simple. Cause and effect. You know what's going to happen. So you regulate in that way. Okay, so now we're talking about an art. It's how to self-regulate, because it's the primary feature of the interaction and exchange in the spiritual realm. And I think you'll understand in a little while, it's also the most significant spiritual discipline, technique, action in evolution to open those doors to that entrance that you want. So, self-regulation. I'm self-regulating me in this lecture. I could have said things that would wipe out your capacity to think about the spiritual sky. You're not aware of what I could have said? Maybe you are. But I didn't say those things because I don't believe them. I don't feel them. I don't think they're relevant, and neither would they help you or me. So I didn't bring that up. I self-regulated myself. Why? Well, let's go back and run back all those things I just said. Number one, I don't believe it. My belief, my feeling, my experience, these things create the core of my expressions. So if I'm to be true to myself, I will regulate what I say, how I say it, to be true to myself. And at the same time, because I like you, I'm using air quotes, I don't know else how to say it, because I feel you, because your consciousness is important to me, because your being part of this broadcast is important to me, otherwise I wouldn't do it. I regulate for your sake. So now there are two factors. That which regulates me and my expression according to my evolution or my desire, and the regulation that takes place because of your, I can't say that if you're watching this as a recording, but I can say that with full conviction to you out there right now. We are in this together, for better or worse. So I better watch what I'm doing, because we're in this together. For better, I'm speaking, you're hearing. It's my responsibility to self-regulate, to maximize this exchange, which I want to be pleasant, I want it to be meaningful, and I want it to help all of us understand how to create the spiritual realm. Okay. Now, do I always act properly or according to my core consciousness? No. Why? Because this particular situation we're experiencing together right now is a very self-regulated entity. I'm here, you're there. It's very contained. It may be very broad all over the world. It may be very deep in all kinds of energy exchanges, whatever. But it's, as a communication system, it's very contained. You're not going to sit there and listen to me unless somehow or another what I'm saying resonates positively with you, unless you're just a hater or a negative person who wants to, I don't know what. But you're not, there aren't any of those now. So you're there because you want to be. And I'm here because I want to be. Now, when I said I don't always act, quote unquote, correctly, we'll get to that. Well, when does that happen? I had a hard time understanding this. It took me many years and a lot of pain to understand certain things about the way I am, the way I act. I'm very influenced by the people around me. If everybody wants a rah-rah cheerleader, I become a rah-rah cheerleader. I don't like being out front. I like to be behind the scenes. You know, maneuvering. If somebody wants me to fail because they don't like me, I fail. I say it wrong, do it wrong. Not because I can't do it better, but because I'm fulfilling the requirement of that person who wants me to fail. Took me years to understand the implications of that. For quite some time I used to think, gee, now why did I do that? I knew better. And then I started thinking, gee, you know, this person wanted me to screw up, so I screwed up. Did they force me to screw up? Question. Wow. They controlled me to screw up. So I become stronger to be more powerful. Still happens. Whoa! Now I'm stronger. It still happened. Wow, this is something else. Their energy came to me, I embraced it, and then I expressed what they wanted. I did that, not them. So in that interaction, I was the problem. That they thought that way about me, there's probably thousands of reasons why. I don't know them all. I'm a problematic person. I may cause trouble to others. Sure. So I'm the problem in this scenario. Because I did not stay true to myself, the core me, and I wandered away. Let's expand that into other things, which we talk about regularly. Anger, greed, envy, lust, blah, blah, blah. So many things screw us up. Self-regulation is what avoids those things becoming fuel for expression. Now, in the heavenly planets, the celestial realms. I wouldn't call them heavenly, it's just a word that's used. The celestial realms. Now, there's a lot of anger there. I'm just using this as an example. Because there are bad guys, the celestial realm has still this interaction. Now, in the spiritual world, there aren't any bad guys. Why? Why are there no bad guys? Forget this qualification jazz for a second. Why are there no bad guys? I think it's because everyone there sets the scene of self-regulation. The bad guys are not self-regulated. And that is the primary, well, one of the primary vibrations. So that vibration cannot find the spiritual scene because it's vibrating wrong. So when you set your scene in that self-regulated manner, you vibrate in the same way and you enter into that, or you can enter into that scene where everything is self-regulated. Because of the way in which you are, it fits into the way they are. Obviously, for theists, obviously, the divine energy, being of another nature. You've got that spiritual divinity that is of a different quality of energy, that divine, absolute, fantastic spiritual energy is the origin of it, source of it, the regulating authority by its vibration, divinity. And every other person there, every other being there, vibrates in a similar way and accepts the concept of self-regulation because it is natural. Let's talk about that. Anger. Well, why am I angry with you? There are a million reasons. We know them very well. Why am I envious? There are a million reasons. We know it very well. But an aware person understands the consciousness, energy, and vibration of the other person. So, if a situation arises where that now conflicting distortion appears, you feel it, then the simple act of distortion causes you to remove your energy that's creating that resonance of distortion. Because distortion can only last as long as the distorting waves are there. And the waves are continuously being created. And as soon as one of them stops, doesn't even matter if both stop, as soon as one of them stops, distortion disappears. Because a wave, when it's not being interfered with by another wave, just continues in its original form. It's the two waves together that can, under certain circumstances, create distortion or create conflict, dissonance. Now, if one refuses to take part in that distortion, then there won't be a distortion. If two of them are together who refuse to take part in distortion, there won't be any. So the way in which this self-regulating atmosphere is created is when one person chooses to self-regulate and to be aware fully of the resonance with another person or an environment, with things, even with things. I'm going to use a very gross example, forgive me, but the same principle works with living plants or with earth or with cows or with trees. This is a pen. If I'm using it as a pen with the proper way, regulated, not writing on the walls, not writing on my tongue, it's fine. I'm not trying to break it. I'm not trying to smash it. I'm not trying to poke someone's eye out. I'm using it the way it fits. There's no distortion. I would not think of doing that unless I was angry. Anger creates distortion. So, in self-regulation, not only is the consciousness aware of other living beings, but also aware of all things, all creatures, all aspects of that existence, from top to bottom, and consciously vibrates a sympathetic, compatible resonance with every single part of it. That is self-regulation. And when the spiritual world feels, I'm in dangerous territory here, but just go with me. When the spiritual world feels this energy that is in tune, in sync, on all levels, meaning things and people and creatures and atmosphere and everything, divine harmony, then that consciousness flows into the spiritual world. And every other being, thing, energy is in a similar self-regulating fashion to find harmony in all things. Every single thing in the spiritual realm fits in every single way. So, back down here. Boom. Here we sit. Look around. Are you in harmony with your environment? Have you set the scene of compatible energies around you? Are you doing it in your own body? Are you eating according to that? Are you keeping company according to that? Are you keeping things in your home or your environment according to that harmonious resonance of your core being? Are you using that environment as a base of strength to learn the art of self-regulation? And when you're together with others, are you practicing that form of nonviolence which prevents you from creating distortions by fighting the energies of others? Can you even do that when you're surrounded by that antagonistic energy? Well, they can't even do it in the celestial realm. If those guys up there can't do it, and they are way more powerful than us, way more intelligent, way better at everything, in a way better atmosphere, not restricted in the same gross way we are here. If they can't get it together, we're going to have a hard time getting it together. That doesn't mean it's impossible. But it means it's a lot of giving up, letting go, a lot of acceptance, a lot of seeing what's actually happening, not judging it. Okay, that person is like this. I shall not add to the dissonance. Or, even a smarter thing to say, I shall not create dissonance. I shall not send my energy and create dissonance, because that person's energy and my energy are not resonating ever properly, because they are black, I am white, and let's say, boom, we're going to get together and make, explosion. It's kind of like, shall we say, if you have bicarbonate of soda and vinegar, you put them together, it makes... So, it's just the nature of the things. It's chemistry. We live in a world where chemistry is very significant. And that is the same for people. That is the same for people's energies. That is the same for every single aspect of existence. There's a lot of chemistry involved. So if we are, let's just say, if we're in a place where the chemistry is constantly making sparks, what do? You get out of that place. Now, if you've previously undone, reeled in all of your energy that creates dissonance, and you still exist, you still have your core energy, and that doesn't work, you got to get out of that place. Because the only way to keep the dissonance from appearing is to stop existing. Many people do that. They try to stop existing. They do that either with mental illness, to just go somewhere else, or alcohol, or drugs, or I don't know, a million things. Distractions, to stop existing, stop feeling. But if you're in that kind of situation, where the only solution is to stop existing, you got to get out of that situation and reestablish yourself. What if you can't? I don't know all the situations. Some of us can't do that. I would recommend, instead of canceling yourself, just imagine a big red stamp, canceled. You become very zen, very meditative. and try to change that situation from above down. To reach out to those higher authorities who are there for us and ask them, I am so stuck. I can't change this stuff. It's beyond me. Help. Please. And you resonate with that. Help. You know, the final authority. Help. It works. But eventually, one way or another, even maybe you got to die, I don't know. Eventually, one way or another, that situation has to change, because you can't have constant agitation, friction, and at the same time find your place. Many lifetimes. To remove that dissonance. To disassemble that dissonance. I am not generally a fan of just mercy, and that's all there is to it. I know it exists, and I believe it exists. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I'm more, I could also give a lecture. Don't worry about anything, just surrender, and it's all going to just happen. Boom, lightning bolt from the sky. Zippo, you're going to be there in the spiritual sky. Yeah, that's not the way it works. You've got to become self-regulated. You got to get yourself into that energetic harmony. It may take you quite a few lifetimes to get that together. To disassemble dissonance, wherever it may appear. Don't forget, whatever your consciousness is, the sum total of your consciousness is, at the moment of death, it goes with you. You don't attain a state. You don't attain anything. It's wrong wording. That consciousness you are at that time flows elsewhere. It's no longer connected to this body. That doesn't matter. It's just somewhere. The same exact you is flowing elsewhere. So that process of dissonance, the process of removing it, the process of self-regulation is exactly the same everywhere, every time, at all time and all places. As we flow into opportunities to get closer and closer to the state of self-regulation to such a degree that we flow directly into that atmosphere where the scene is already set for that self-regulated interaction called pastimes. I'm here for you. Well, me too, I guess, but I'm here for you. So I hope really that I've given you food for thought. We are what we eat too, you know, so food for thought that helps this interaction with others to remove the dissonant energy. It's not that every single person resonates well with every single person. No. So if it's not working, move on. Or every person resonates with every place. If it's not working, move on. Either physically or mentally without canceling, or emotionally, move on. Don't get stuck in conflict. That you're dissonant. You're dissonant. You're dissonant. Your energy, I don't like it. I don't like it. Dissonant, dissonant, dissonant. Yeah. And embrace that conflict. Worst possible thing. the idea of nonviolence, the idea of turning the other cheek, as you may have heard it, there's an enormous wisdom behind that. Think of the world today. I'm going into climate change because it bugs me all the time. Think of the world today. We're in this dissonance that I want meat, I'm going to kill you, and the whole world is suffering from it. And even the United Nations wrote a whole report that veganism, just recently, it's going to change 75% of the factors that are creating climate change. Because it's this, I'm going to keep on doing it. If you see that happening in your life, walk away from it. There's a wisdom in that. That you're not going to defeat that person. You're not going to beat that person, even if you win. Because the act of the conflict defeats you. That dissonance defeats you. That wisdom is very big. Yeah, I know all the things about warriors, and when there's somebody trying to attack, you do something about that. That's another subject. That's social organization. So I hope I've helped. I'm going to take a 5-minute break, or less, I don't know. I'm going to play some music. And you got questions? You know where to put them. Okay. Now, let's see here now. There's a comment about friendship, and I like Google's Google Translate's version of the question. I'm not sure if it's actually what the Russian said, but the Google Translate version says, when friends are woven together, how to stay in harmony or leave. I mean, that's really a good question. I mean, not only a good question, but the expression of it in Google Translate anyway is fabulous. That friends are woven together. I mean, it's really true. I mean, friendship is woven together. For those of you who didn't understand what we said when the music was on, we were just talking about digestion. We were talking about how you can't digest sometimes concepts even if they're supposed to be good for you because you're not ready for them. It's like being given a meal when you're not ready to eat it. I mean, digestion is being able to digest something is as important as what you're going to eat or hear. Okay, that was what we talked about. Now, this woven together friendship. Well, it's even bigger than just friendship. Families are woven together. How do you deal with it? A family's woven together by blood, by biology, by growing up together, by living together. What do? And usually there's your family are also your best friends in many ways. Or your friends that you have then therefore around. It's this idea of divorce. I mean it in the sense of there is I'm really sorry, people, that the music was on before. It's again, I'm very, very sorry. I'm reading now all the comments. Ooh. Anyway, when you're woven together as a group of any kind, friends or family or whatever, it's really difficult to break that. And sometimes you have to. Sometimes the lack of harmony between people is just so destructive. That dissonance is so destructive that something has to be done, otherwise you explode. Now, sometimes we get to that point by just not acting in a way that would maintain harmony. Sometimes we got to this dissonance because we consciously chose to work against the harmony. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just explaining how it arises, because sometimes you don't want to be in harmony with friends when friends are acting like idiots. As my mother always used to say, and you probably don't know if you don't know what Brooklyn is, but if all your friends wanted to jump off the Brooklyn Bridge, would you jump too? You know, we come from the Bronx sometime, in the way past. And in Brooklyn, there was nobody worth knowing anything about. And the Brooklyn Bridge was the famous thing everybody in the Bronx talked about, selling. Somebody wants to sell you the Brooklyn Bridge, you're that stupid, you're going to buy it. Or they're going to jump off the Brooklyn Bridge because you're going to do that too, because only people in Brooklyn are that stupid to jump off that Brooklyn Bridge. Anyway, that's a very prejudiced Bronx thing in those days. I don't know about now. So, if the people around you are idiots and you say no, you created a disharmonious situation. It makes dissonance. Is the fact that you created dissonance wrong? Is the dissonance in and of itself wrong? Or is the dissonance a feature sometimes that helps you understand your participation in this interaction, in this group, is not right. It depends. Sometimes it's your fault. You're too selfish, or you're too foolish, or whatever, and the dissonance occurred. Sometimes it's the fact that you don't belong anymore in that group because you have evolved to another place. Or you thought you evolved to another place and you no longer belong in that group, but that's false. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. But what we're discussing here is when you no longer fit. So the shall we say, criteria to understand what to do is, how is this dissonance affecting you and others? You look at it with a little bit of detachment. You look at it and you ask, is this good for me? Is this good for them? And if your answer is no, make a change. If the answer is no, do something. If the answer is, well, I have to change and try to make it work, then do that. So I thought that was a really great question. I mean, there's hundreds of comments here. If you were to take away the comments that say you're an idiot, you're playing music and talking, there's a lot of other comments too. Okay, here's another interesting question. Because actually it's impossible to bring up all of the subtle aspects of this point. Sometimes we know we have our own integrity, we know what is right and wrong, yet we will enter into a dissonant possibility for the sake of the other person. Okay, an intervention is when members of your family or people who are your friends are doing something so self-destructive you can no longer tolerate it. So you gather together a group of people who are significant to that person, and you either trick them into coming to a place where everybody is, or you convince them, wherever they are, they're wrong. It's called an intervention. That you even say it's an intervention. You say, we here are intervening in your chaos of a life because we can't stand it that you're ruining yourself. We are suffering too much. We've got to stop you. You've got to stop. It's called an intervention. It's where a group of friends get together and fix, or try anyway, to fix something in someone they care about who's just self-destructive or making chaos. So, in that case, you've got this person who is with this negative energy, and you've got all of this attempt to be positive, and there's always, in an intervention, you can be guaranteed it's going to be a lot of fighting, a lot of dissonance, a lot of anger, and you do it anyway. You do it anyway because you care. Any parent knows their teenage child filled with hormones and delusions of how they're going to grow and live and conquer the world is going to create a dissonance. Mothers and daughters, classic. Teenage daughters and mothers. All kinds of reasons why I don't want to talk about it. And still, the parent continues. Maybe by trying to work it out, or maybe by being detached, or maybe by allowing someone to do something wrong. So it's our choice how we enter into a dissonant situation for the sake of others. And I think that answers the question. It's generally done out of caring. The word I read here is pity. Is absolutely going to cause dissonance. Because nobody likes to have somebody pity them. We like it when someone has compassion and wants to help. Because pity means, oh, I'm so superior and you are just so, wow, way down there. I pity you. That's really not useful. Okay. Ooh, so many, oh my God. I got to tell you, there's no way on earth I'm going to get to all this. And maybe keep it for next time. I'm going to just keep trying best I can. My throat hurts. Let's see how long I can go on for. If your children are being harmed by someone else, this is not something happening to you. That's happening to them. So working to protect your children or working to protect others has nothing to do with this dissonant energy or nonviolence or whatever. Totally different situation. This is a classic karmic situation. Classic. That in a previous life, you hurt this person so badly in one way or another that consciousness in their mind, again, this holding on, think about that, how significant that is. Holding on to hatred to such a degree, and anger and hurt to such a degree that when you die, it's there in your mind, and you even can think that I don't have enough time to really screw you for this. That exact consciousness leaves with you from the body. Now, from your point of view, it's exactly the same, no difference, and follows you to wherever you go, including the next body. And in the next body, you're just looking, oh, man, where is that one? Where is that person? And you're looking all the time. And then one day, the universe brings them to you. And you go, yeah. You may not even know what you're doing. You may actually feel, oh, I should love that person. I actually will try to make that person love me. You don't know why even. It just starts happening because that's the chemistry of it, the chemicals of it, the karmic chemicals of it. And when that person is just boiling in love, the chemicals have reached critical levels, heat activated, and you walk away or you say something and you watch somehow with great satisfaction because they said something, because they did something, even if it's meaningless. You watch them melt in volcanic lava that but you just walk away with a smile. This is pure karma. It happens all the time. As we bring with us life after life, our hatreds, our hurts, all this stuff. So that which I was talking about, this self-regulation, includes not falling victim to doing that to someone else. It might include someone doing it to you, but not that you do it to someone else. Because that other person has a reason you don't know about. It's complicated. Oh, these karmic webs woven together. Very complicated. My God. This is also an interesting, I mean, everything's interesting. Me saying that is meaningless, but when I say interesting, it means that it caught my attention. And the reason why is the answer it's not really an answer, I'm just going to talk about it. Here's somebody saying, the more determined I am to get out of a situation I'm in by being lighter and more positive, it gets worse. What did I just say? You self-regulate to not be that person who's the vampire who wants to burn down another. But that may happen to you. Let's say you're in that situation, conflict, you're stuck. It doesn't matter whether it's a person or a situation. And you let go. Well, when you let go, what you do is you withdraw your energy, which is pushing back at that person or pushing back at that situation, which is creating dissonance. Pushing back also protects you. If you let go, the tsunami comes and it gets worse. It's your choice what to do. I can't say, but that's what's happening. Why is our life sometimes stuck and we can't move forward? Although we might have proper motivation, we have no opportunity to express that. So we stand in the same place and suffer. Hey, sometimes that happens. I mean, when you ask why, it happens. It's life. Sometimes in life you can move forward. Sometimes in life you can't move forward. It's like a car. When you're on a road with a solid surface, you can go forward. When you drove into a lake, you can't go forward. Or if you're in mud and the wheels are slipping, you can't go forward. This is the nature of things. So, why does it happen? Well, you drove into the mud. What do you expect? The wheels are going to do that. Did you want to drive into the mud? Maybe not. But you weren't developed enough to understand that is mud. Don't drive into it. So ignorance. Why? Ignorance. We get stuck because of ignorance. Or we're blocked by external forces. Like, why can't you drive your Porsche on the Autobahn at 250 kilometers an hour, and then continue doing so when you get off the exit? Well, because the speed limit blocks you. This is the nature of life. Something says you can't do that here. That's why we have charts with planets that say, in this transit, it's a good time to do that. In this transit, you'll be blocked no matter what you do. It's the life being displayed before us. I mean, why did you assume everything should be successful all the time when you have practical experience that it's not so? Why should you assume that everything you try to do should work when you have practical experience it's not so? And even if you have good motivation, that doesn't mean the motivation is not the primary factor. The primary factor is the execution and what's blocking you. I may have the great motivation to feed the hungry throughout the world, but if I've only got like 10 rubles or $1.50, I can't do that. Motivation is an important part, but not necessarily the most important part. Would actually you want to be in a situation where everything that happened was totally under your control without any outside forces having to do with it? That would be more or less you're a piano player on stage all by yourself playing the piano. Maybe somebody sitting somewhere else just playing a violin all by themselves. Somewhere over there's playing the harps on their own. You don't want that. You want the orchestra, the interaction, where the note there causes the note here to not only make sense, but to be beautiful. Syncopation, bouncing around, change of rhythm, change of tonality. The way in which all of a sudden the resonance creates a different effect, a different mood. You want all of this. You want there to be the influence outside of you to make you and that which you are within better. But each time that happens, it's a considered effect. It's an effect that is taking you into consideration. It's a mutually beneficial effect. I hope that answers that question. I like that question. This one. Is it possible to feel intense physical or other pain and maintain the feeling of pure, undistorted energy of essence? Great question. Because it's very practical. It's exactly what we all experience. When we are being pushed upon by any forces outside of ourselves, or even our own guilt, or even our own memories, or even whatever, our hatred of others, when we are being pushed upon by anything that causes us pain, you can't maintain undistorted energy of essence because your energy is distorted. Let's take another. That's just pure definition. If you are in a distorted situation of feeling distortion with others because of the way you feel or think or act, that's by definition not undistorted energy. That's by definition. Now let's take another situation. Your body. Let's say your body has pain. Will you be able to have that pure, undistorted feeling of energy of essence? Okay. Yes, you can, but will you? It depends on who you are. It depends on how much pain you're in. If you're in extreme agony, you're not going to be in anything except agony. The definition of agony is that it's really bad. It's the opposite of harmony. Harmony, agony, physical agony, not possible. You can't deal with it. So being in a situation of physical pain is counterproductive. That's why in the Vedic literature, meditating, sure, but doing yoga. Because if you just sit in a cross-legged position, you're going to get arthritis, you're going to get all kinds of problems. You got to get up and move now and then. Everything has to be in balance. You got to do yoga to keep yourself from rotting and entering into a painful situation which will block your advancement. So yes. Here's a comment. Some people live with other people and believe in God. And others live with God and believe in people. I like that. Nice quote. And if you thought that up, good for you. Okay, here's a comment. It feels like you are building a bridge for us from this world to the spiritual. A very firm bridge taking us there instantly. Yeah, I'm an engineer. Definitely. And so why not build a bridge? But I didn't build the bridge. I didn't design the bridge. It was already there. I just walked on it. And then I said, hey, there's a bridge here. Let's go. I didn't build it. I just said, there it is. It's already there. Look. It's a very big difference. If I were to build a bridge, then my engineering mind would say, yeah, boy, am I cool building a bridge. But I didn't build a bridge. I can't take credit. I just saw it, stood on it, walked on it, ran on it, and then said, hello, it's over here. It's not over there. It's over here. Although I appreciate the sentiment of the comment. Thank you very much. So when we enter into various spiritual organizations, and they're all the same, and we are told we are bad, we are sinful, we are fallen, we make mistakes, we say yes, 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 yes. No argument. No one argues these points. Well, I argue these points. I'm the lawyer for your recovery. Because I have a side. And that side is different than my front. And when I place my spiritual energy forwards, all that stuff which is hanging out in the back is left there. Like when you have a suitcase you're holding and you drop it and you walk forward. It stays unless you carry it. It stays. You move. Learn that art of letting go. It seems so simple. It is. You just need some encouragement. Somebody to say, you can do it. You can do it. And you can. It's not that difficult. It becomes difficult when you make it difficult. Because it is your nature to be something other than who you are is a big work. It is a big work. It's a lifetimes of work to be something other than what you are. To walk into the temple in front of these gorgeous beings who are showering you with spiritual energy and to not feel it. And to come in with this, I'm so fallen, save me. I'm so. It's work. Because your nature is to walk in and say, oh, thank you. That's your nature. This is our nature, is to feel like that. So the more we do that, the more we say, oh, the more we feel this, the more we allow that energy to flow through us, the more we can have faith in ourselves that this is who we are. And when we go somewhere else and everything's all screwed up, I get it, believe me. And we're feeling really rotten and angry and upset. No! That's not you. I'm sorry. I can see this really exploded the questions department, and I'm happy for that, but I can't go on. So we quit. And I hope I will be able to see you again. I do have to warn you that in the near future, there's going to be a time that I am going to be not able to do a broadcast for many weeks. So let's see. And I'll let you know through the newsletter or the what you call mailing list when and what and how. And thank you. And much love to all of you. Good success and happiness in life. And see you. Run away from this disturbing world. Run away. Try to